What's up, guys? It's Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to continue in with the XFL information. We're going to look at the Dallas Renegades. Now, if this is your first video, I'm glad you're here. Hopefully you enjoy this video, and hopefully you look at my YouTube page and look at more videos, watch more videos. Hopefully you enjoy the content. If you are returning and watching more of my content, I really do appreciate it. I'm glad you're back. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. I need all the help I can get. I need every one of you guys. I need all of your help. And those of you who have already, thank you so much. And those of you who have been watching my videos, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. I can't thank you enough. And if you've been commenting and liking my videos, thanks so much, guys. And the comments, they're awesome. They're great. I love interacting with you guys, bouncing ideas off of each other. It's so fun. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and let's get into this video. We're going to be starting our series on the XFL coaching staffs. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to break things down. We're going to look at the coaching staffs of each one of the teams, and then we're going to look at all of the drafted personnel for each one of the teams and kind of take what we've learned from the team videos and apply it to the offense and then apply it to the defense. So what will happen is each team, I'm going to do 3 different videos. I'm going to do a coaching staff video, I'm going to do an offensive video, and I'm going to do a defensive video, and we're going to go through and analyze each one of those phases. So what you might not get into too much detail with getting into the kind of my thoughts and processes with the actual coaching staff. We will look at when we look at the personnel, because I think that the personnel will give us a little bit more direction on where exactly they're looking at going with that. So we might hold off some of that information and some of that stuff when we get into that section and go from there. All right, guys, let's not waste any more time. Let us get into this. All right, we're starting off with the Dallas Sooners. I mean the Oklahoma Renegades. No, that's not right. Oh, the Dallas Renegades. You know I'm trying to be funny here, but the reality of it is that you got Bob Stoops, and he pretty much has a whole bunch of guys who have Oklahoma ties, Boomer Sooners, who have all of these ties back to Oklahoma. And you know what? I'm fine with it. He's got a whole bunch of guys that he trusts, that know his system and run his system and understand it. And so I like it. And none more than Hal Mumme. He is the architect of the air raid offense. And right now, the air raid is all the hype, and it is all of the craze. You just need to look at the NFL, and the NFL will show you, whether it be guys like Patrick Mahomes, whether it be last year's Heisman Trophy winner with Kyler Murray, and also with coach his coach out there in Arizona, and Even so much so as it trickles down into college football, whereas right now you've got USC, who is with Graham Harrell, who USC's brought in Graham Harrell to resurrect their offense and install this air raid, and they seem to be doing pretty well. And it's pretty cool if you watch a video of Hal. He kind of goes through and explains how they decided to do it. It was him and Mike Leach, and when you look at it, pretty much what happened was he and Mike Leach kind of knew that they weren't going to be able to bang around with a lot of the other teams in their and that they were going to be playing against. And so what they decided to do was they liked the way that the 49ers kind of ran in the 80s, and their offenses that they ran in the 80s, and how they did things in like the last 2 minutes, like with the drives and different things like that. And so they're like, why not try to run that the whole game? And that's what they did. And the first season, they went, he said it was like they went 11-2 running that, and they didn't even think they were going to do very well at all that season. So, I mean, it's definitely right now, the air raid is kind of become all the craze again in that. So I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen. So he's the offensive coordinator. So Bob Stoops, they're going to be running an offense that Bob Stoops knows really, really well. And we're not going to get into too many more detail with it, but Landry Jones is going to be running. He's been running this offense. He knows that offense. One of the guys I'm pretty interested in, and it's pretty cool, is Bobby Blizzard. There really isn't a whole lot about him out there, but he's been a D3 coach, and he's been a really good offensive-minded D3 coach. So it'll be cool to see what he does with this running back core, with his running backs, and how they are going to go through. And I think that they'll end up being kind of not just your typical running backs. I think that you'll actually see them utilize a lot more. Creatively, I think like that, especially when you got a guy who definitely is an overall offensive-minded guy, not just a traditional running backs guy. So I think that's pretty cool. Jarrell Jackson, don't know a whole lot about him. Jeff Ganonzowski, I apologize if I just butchered your name. But they're guys, again, that have ties back to the air raid offense and to Mike Stoops, or people who have been associated with Mike Stoops. The other guy that I think is pretty cool is Scott Spurrier. Scott Spurrier, obviously the son of Steve Spurrier, and he was also on Steve Spurrier's coaching staff last year in the AAF, and he was pretty much the same position that he has right now. He's working with the tight ends and stuff. He did a great job. And if you watch that offense was just phenomenal. It was the best offense in the league by far. And they did some really cool things. So having him in charge of the tight ends, I think is kind of going to be a huge thing. So yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's neat. I think as we kind of look into things here, Chris Woods, again, another Oklahoma guy, and so he's going to be running the defense. He was a guy that was at Oklahoma with Bob Stoops, so Bob Stoops knows him fairly well. This guy's been around college ball a while, and the interesting thing is that Bob Stoops is his whole coaching staff has they definitely have some pro and some college football experience, but a lot of them have a lot of college experience. So I think that you're going to see them very fast-paced, and I think you're going to see a fairly aggressive defense. Right now, I'm thinking they're probably going to run some type of a 4-3, like an aggressive 4-3 that's going to allow probably the safeties and linebackers to come up and to be able to run free and things like that. I think you're going to see some strong safety play probably with that. Don't hold me to it. We'll get more into more detail with that stuff when we start looking at the actual defense and the defensive personnel that they put there. But I think that that's pretty cool. With Chris Woods, I think that he's going to do a really good job there. One of the things that I've found fairly interesting is that when I'm looking at these defensive coaches, these guys have a lot more pro experience than necessarily the offensive guys do. And so it'll be interesting to see how they kind of complement the offense, because the reality of it is the air raid offense, it can go 3 and out, and your defense can play a lot of snaps. So I'm really curious to see how they do, how it's going to work out for them with that. So I'm pretty curious to see how all that works out. One other guy I do want to mention here is Jim Jeffcoat. Now, he's not a guy that a whole lot of people know, but he ran the defense for Steve Spurrier. Again, you got Scott Spurrier on the staff, and so he ran the defense for the Apollos in the AAF last year. So I like that, and that's a good thing to me because Steve Spurrier and them, granted, Steve Spurrier's offense is kind of a little bit different of an offense. It's not an air raid, but he likes to air things out. And so his offense is a very fast pace, and so the defenses have to be used to kind of, getting back on the field quick, not getting huge breathers and having to, settle in and sometimes, get right back on the field because you have a 3 and out. And so with that, I do like that he's got a guy like Jeffcoat who he ran a really good defense. With them having such as good of an offense as they did, and for them to have the third best defense in the league, which was pretty good. And so I'd really like to see what he does with that defensive line, and we'll get into the defensive line personnel and what I think you could expect from them. But to have a guy like him and a lot of these other guys, again, they're used to being and running defenses that are used to playing with a fast-paced offense. So I really like it. I think Bob Stoops has done a great job. I was joking in the beginning of it. But hey, listen, I think he could do exactly what Steve Spurrier did with the Apollos. He looks hungry, and he's ready to come in, and he's got a coaching staff that's ready. They're ready to, to go out there and beat some people playing some football. And so I think that they could really get out there and, make a real run at these things. And definitely Landry Jones, I think, is one of the best quarterbacks out there. So I could easily see them really taking hold of the league and going from there. But that's just what I think. The question is, do you like the coaching staff? Do you think that Bob Stoops picked the right guys? Do you think he was just picking guys because he knows them? Do you like that? Do you not like that? Do you think that they're just going to tank? I don't know. Please let me know down in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to have a conversation. That's always good. It's always fun. All right. Well, I know that you guys are busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get out of here. You have a good night. All right. Bye.